How's it going, laser bruisers? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to the VII Enigma. We have made our trek to Pandora's box, sorry. I think we're there now, or we're on the way there. I don't know. I think shit's about to escalate though. Guess we're about to find out. The group head northbound toward Pandora's box, packed together in the vehicle with every bit of remaining space taken by luggage and supplies. On the way, Amelia and Levi fill in the group on the events from their trip to the western sector. I thought they were going to skip this bit. So after this Logan took you in, he then offered to get the rest of your items for you? Yeah, that's right. Who knows what would have happened if he didn't shelter us. We would have been captured at the very least. Lucky too. At first, I thought he was sus and was going to bolt out of there. I'd be done for sure if we did that. You were quite lucky. I know out of all the sectors, the western sector has the worst sentiment towards Bosk, but even there, you were still fortunate to bump into someone who's willing to help you lay low. So you just stayed there in the underground bar until he got back? Pretty much. We were planning to leave just after nightfall to avoid our tracks being spotted, with the rain and all. But when Logan went to scout it out, there were just too many of them. We didn't end up leaving till well after midnight in the end. They were still around, but it was easier to give them the slip by that point. Yeah, sneaking out of the city is pretty scary. Every corner we went round felt like we might bump noses with one of them. For once, I agree with you, Levi. That was heart-pounding stuff, and not the kind of heart-pounding I'm normally looking for. After that began the epic journey home, I'll tell you. It was quite the mission, but here we are in one piece, so it's all good. Do you know what happened to the guy who was helping you? Logan? No, he said our goodbyes after he helped us escape out of the city. Hope he didn't get caught, he was a good guy. It was a big risk for him to help you. Even though you made it out, if anyone saw him and reports him to Bosk, he'll be in big trouble. I hope one day we get to show him the gratitude he deserves. Yeah, I hope so too. For a long while the group sits with no sound but the droning of the vehicle, whilst Amelia and Levi attempt to get some rest. Elijah breaks the quiet to speak to Jasper, who was sitting to his left. So Jasper, how'd you come to be a part of all this? You seem to really know your stuff. I used to work in the technology department for Bosk, specifically in the neural network division. You used to work for the Bureau? Yeah, but everyone in the world kind of does now, at least in some sense. They manage all industries, so everything is accountable to them anyway. Though I was more on the inside than most. I was on my way up through the ranks when I discovered just how crazy what they were doing was. It put me off, to be honest. What'd you find out? Well, a bunch of things. Jasper was one of their most promising prospects, so they wanted to utilize his talents as quickly as they could. As a result, he was let in on a lot of information that they usually take more time preparing people for, that they'd normally drip feed. Yeah, that's when I discovered how rotten they were. Stuff you kind of expected, but when you realize the extent of it, well, I had to make a call if I was okay selling my soul to the devil. What kind of things were you working on? What were they up to? Bosk's power comes from their information. Their ability to read the trends and manipulate the population is what cements their power. They use the temper system to reinforce that strategy. That essentially was what our division was all about. Right, how does Bosk get that information? What do they do with it? It really started before Bosk, back in the 2010s with the advent of social media. Social media companies began getting more sophisticated in tracking users, finding information out about them, interests, hobbies, where they'd been. They mined this information to make money. By being able to better predict and target users, they could more accurately predict and streamline advertising and other services. Throughout the 20s and 30s, it became incredibly sophisticated, to the point where each major tech companies had alliances with the governments to manipulate their population. And it sounds pretty ominous. It was. This dynamic bred many conflicts, not only among national political parties but also between nations, and between the biggest tech companies fighting for the biggest piece of the pie. Warring narratives, misinformation, manipulation. It became impossible to navigate the social space without any sense of confidence. Everything became weaponized. The war of these decades was fought not with guns or bombs, but with information, algorithm to control thinking and sway public opinion, all competing to gain dominance. So how does that connect to Bosk and your role within it? Well, our division in essence was the next step in its evolution. You see, the pandemic was an evil that actually brought a lot of people together, which was a relief from the constant information wars that were taking place. It was a real threat that needed a global effort in order to overcome it. It wasn't just a facade event about control like many before it. So when the Bureau of Safety Controls was first established, it was initially comprised of not only healthy experts and scientists, but also some of the heads of the major tech companies. This is so they could play their roles in not only disseminating the information, but making sure the public opinion was correctly swayed and that the best technology would aid whatever might be needed along the way. So for the first time, these warring powers united together to fight the pandemic. Yes, exactly. It brought the age of division and conflict to an end. With that kind of combined power, Bosk would go on to consume everything. I guess I realised after the pandemic that rather than fighting for a piece of the pie, they could unite and have the whole pie to themselves as one entity. I doubt they would have put it that way. They would have made it sound like them coming together was a big sacrifice for humanity or something like that. Anyway, it'd take too long to get into everything, but they offered solutions for all of life's issues and dangers, financial, political, governmental, a unified one-world system to finally bring unity and safety. Any resistance was heavily attacked, mostly through the manipulation of information and language. This is where my team came in. So it was your job to develop the technology to manipulate public opinion. Yes, or at least kind of. By the 40s, the algorithm had swayed public opinion and sentiment were already fairly sophisticated. Our job to continue expanding the neural network utilizing the neural ID system, aimed to read and predict all human behavior. After all, if you can predict it, you can control it. A neural network, so a computer system that works in a similar way to a human brain. Looks like you can remember some stuff, yeah, exactly. A computer system that's not only based on the human brain, but one that also reads real brainwaves and maps them to human behavior when exposed to various stimuli. Think of it this way. Every time you go to buy milk, they know what's happening in your brain. Every time you're on a date, looking at advertisements, watching movies, listening to music, going to school, they can observe the effects these experiences have on you. They have the ability to track and observe what is happening in the brains of literally the entire world. Do you understand the gravity of what Bosk has been working on? An AI network designed to predict and manipulate human behavior, made up of all the data accumulated from spying on the brainwaves of the entire population. That sounds fairly formidable. Fairly formidable is an understatement. This thing can very accurately read and predict human behavior as a whole, and also come up with the best methods for manipulating the population by using our own desires and fears against us. How far through the project did they get? They've already been using it for years. But as the dataset increases and technology improves, mostly through iterations via the temper system, it grows more and more powerful and complete in its ability to predict and manipulate. Then Bosk simply initiates the measures suggested by the system. That's terrible. How could you compete with that? You can't really. The only potential vulnerability is individuals who deviate from the norm, but they are few and far between, and don't have enough sway to destabilize their system anyway. Like us then. Yes, and I suppose the only other weakness is the system can't influence people directly. It can only predict, observe and make suggestions that are sent through Bosk to implement in society in some way. If they have AI systems that powerful, why don't we see more AI and other technologies around? Things don't seem on that level from what I can tell. It looks very different inside a bureau facility. Their technology is at a whole other level. Simply put, it's easier for them if the population doesn't have access to the same level of technology. I guess it's the whole keep them ignorant and it's easier to control type of deal. They have made the public aware only of the technology that keeps them busy, occupied and distracted, nothing more. In fact, they've methodically rolled back technology to a level they feel comfortable controlling. The level of technology available to the broader population has dropped down to the level of the early 2030s. It is the same with AI. Although they do use some AI systems, they only use low-level AI. That AI that they won't feel pose a threat to them in the future. Otherwise, Bosk could easily have built self-aware autonomous AI already. They shut it down and shelved it as they saw it as the biggest threat to their power. So they've kept all the biggest tech advancements to themselves and hidden them from the population. That isn't surprising at all, I guess. Still, it seems like their methods for control they could have used, which I don't see any evidence of. What about something like brain chips, a way for digital information to interact with the human brain? I would have thought that'd be a key contender for a control method. Very sharp, Dr. Shaw. That was one of my first questions too when I joined the technology division. After all, it could be sold to the population easily. Rather than needing a device with a screen, you could access everything via your mind. Of course, I didn't get an answer until quite some time after I joined. But you did eventually? Yes, I had to work my way up to it first, high enough to see the Tempest grade research. It seemed pretty unbelievable to me when I first found out. What was it? I found out they tried digital implant chips already in prior loops. Many of them, in fact. What? I must have been right in my speculations. Bosk had probably experimented with all kinds of things in loops prior to ours. Perhaps we're just swimming in an ocean of the Bureau's experimental loops. They got the technology basically perfect for their neural implant chips too, But from Bosk's perspective, they never lived up to what they hoped to achieve with them. You see, in the time of social media, the metaverse was born. It started off as a basic VR world for social media, but eventually became so advanced, it became integrated with the advancement of neural chips. This, along with the current ID scanners, were the main sources of the information they mined on the human brain. So why was it scrapped? And why doesn't anyone have brain chips now? Well, the main reason the whole program was eventually scrapped and erased through the Tempest system was simple. In every loop, the chips had the opposite of the desired effect. It actually loosened Bosk's control, rather than strengthening it. How do you mean? I would have thought chips would be the perfect next step in the evolution, given what you were saying earlier. And so did they. They threw everything at this project, and it was only scrapped reluctantly when it became obvious it would never achieve its intended outcome. Basically, no matter how you built the technology, it could always be turned around to be used against Bosk in some way. With enough loops, though, couldn't they get the tech right, even if it took hundreds of attempts? You'd think they would, but no matter the variation of the technology, no matter the encryption or capability specs, it would always turn back to bite them somehow. If you could hack the system, you could essentially hack human minds, though that was just one of the many issues. Like Ghost in the Shell. The most common issue would be anti-Bosk fighters, who would find a way to hack the system to help their cause. Plus, the chips could be removed, so those who stood against Bosk could be resistant to it being used back against them. And despite Bosk's best efforts, there were always factions in the metaverse that became like the Wild West, impossible to tame, and only bred more chaos for them to deal with. It was partly through this process that Bosk learned the best way to control the population was to ensure a large tech gap between the population and Bosk. Too high a level of technology among the populace would only breed more chances of it being turned around on them. It introduced a level of chaos they decided wasn't worth the risk. It's kind of frightening to think how many loops have come before this one. It must be countless. It makes you think it is likely that everything we do here will probably be replaced by another loop. Like time is trapped and can't move forward while Bosk keeps meddling with everything. Perhaps everything we do will turn out to be meaningless. Well, that is what we're here for, to stop the cycle and ensure that Bosk is brought down. Anyway, sorry for the long-winded response, but the answer to your question is simple in the end. After finding this all out, I started having my doubts. Then Iker approached me to ask to join his group. It was a no-brainer. I preferred the more rebellious side of technology anyway, so it was a good fit. Using my skills to bring Bosk down sounded far more exciting. Now we just gotta hope we actually find a way to do it. Jasper smirks in response to the apparent absurdity of their situation. You and me both. I hope you brought me down here, all the way down here, because you have something good to report. I'm not sure I can handle any more disappointments. Trying to hide his nerves, the officer pushes forward to give his report. Sir, we've scoured the area as you requested. Here you can see a collection of materials recovered from the area. It all looks pretty destroyed to me. Did anything of interest survive the explosion? Unfortunately, nothing survived the explosion. We tried to see if we could salvage any data from the computers, but they appear to have been wiped as well as destroyed. However, we were able to piece together at least some information that should be useful to you, sir. And what would that be? Look at these parts here. Before them are some badly charred bits of electronics that Beckett begins to look over. It's pretty damaged. But that looks like R16s and R32s connecting to... Well, I can't tell what kind of board that is. Seems similar to the Avenir style boards. Most of the machine was so badly burned and melted that nothing can be identified with the exception of this small section. But we can tell this technology is well beyond anything that the public should know about. Are you saying this is Tempest class technology? What does it look like to you, sir? Beckett pauses and stares with a freezing intensity at the objects before him, before letting out a sigh. I think you're right. The question is how they have access to Tempest-grade technology. I'm not sure, sir. It may have something to do with Dr. Shaw, or perhaps even Jasper Scott. I believe he used to work in our technology division until recently. Then we confirmed that Dr. Shaw doesn't have his memories at present, and Tempest-grade technology designs themselves shouldn't have been shared to Jasper Scott given his position. Whatever this is, I doubt it's a Tempest machine itself. These parts seem too old and obscure. We should be on alert though. They may be harder to deal with if they do have upgraded technology. Yes, sir. Anything else? Yes, there was one more interesting find. Which is... I'm not sure if it's related, but we found an extra set of tracks down here. Explain. Unless we're mistaken, we seem to have identified everyone in the group through various means. However, there has been an extra set of prints found that doesn't match any of the suspects, nor any of the officers who were dispatched down here. What makes you so sure the tracks aren't from a maintenance worker or someone else? We cross-referenced for all our troops, along with their neural IDs. Just from that system alone, we can confirm that none of these prints didn't come from a normal citizen, or we would have a neural ID scan. What do the tracks reveal about the person? They appear to belong to a larger male. They seem fresh, and were likely here some time after the explosion. They entered from the shaft to the east. Their foot patterns indicate they surveyed the entire area before leaving from where they came in. Another person who can avoid neural ID scans. I guess when it rains it pours. Is that all your report? Almost, sir. The final thing we found was that his footwear was the standard issue designs, used pretty well only by the top levels of leadership. What? You mean the top military brass? No, the military is a different type of boot. This model is generally worn by the heads of various divisions within the Bureau, whether scientific, bureaucratic, technological, or other division. Though we can't be sure the footwear wasn't stolen in an attempt to throw us off identifying them. Looks like someone has their eyes on us. If it really was the head of a division, it doesn't make much sense that they would just sneak in here and sneak away. If they wanted to know something, they could have easily asked us for it. They would outrank us all, after all. Who was it really? And what are they after, I wonder? None of this is adding up. It doesn't match any of the developments the Watchers had originally briefed us on. Is that all? Yes, sir. That's all I have to report now, sir. Alright, very good. I expect a location very soon of where the two in the city went off to. Yes, sir. The officer turns and leaves, leaving Beckett behind in contemplation. Exiting the car, the 6 sojourners look out atop a wintry, snow-capped mountainscape as they inspect their surroundings. It's beautiful up here. Guess that rainy weather also brought a big snow dump up here. Seems pretty isolated. Not a person or building in sight. This is as close as the road gets to our destination. How far will we have to travel on foot to get there? Only just over 2 kilometers. It'll be a tough journey though. Through the snow with all the packs though. I think we can carry them all in one trip. Should be able to. We have to hide the car first. Let's get the packs out, then move the car and find some shrubbery to hide it under. After covering the car, the group trudges through the snow on their way towards Pandora's box. They follow Jasper, who is leading at the front, guided by the digital map. We'll tire easily in the snow with all these packs. Let's take the journey slow and steady. When we get to the top of the hill section, we'll take a rest. As they travel, nothing but the crunching snow underfoot and the brisk wind can be heard. They look out over the tops of the white-covered trees. The isolation brings with it a strange sense of serenity. Okay, that's the toughest section done. Zylo, could you go back with a branch and cover up our tracks? Just for this first little section? So that nobody on the road can spot our tracks heading into the snow. Sure, I'll be right back. Oh man, I hope there's a heater where we're headed. It's freezing. I love the crisp, brisk air out here. It feels so much better than that oppressive city. It does. Feels like the Bureau isn't breathing down our necks out here somehow. I just wonder what we're going to find so far out of the way. Nothing shows on the map, or any satellite images I can find. Maybe the unit is just buried in a box or something. I guess we have no way of knowing. Though the founder did tell us to get those supplies and bring them here, so I assume there must be something more than that. I just hope there's a bed where we're headed. Still haven't slept and my legs are aching like crazy. Zyla returns to the group and the group continues their journey at a slow pace, taking several breaks whilst they chat and speculate as to what they're going to find. Okay, we're basically here. We should be able to see it in a few more steps once we get over this ridge. Jasper at the head of the pack is the first to eye what it is on the other side. Wait, what? The rest of the group trudge through the snow to catch up to Jasper, and one by one looks of confusion fill their faces as they make it over the ridge. Atop the ridge, the group looks out across an empty snow-covered plateau. There's nothing here. Are you sure this is the correct spot, Jasper? It says it should be right there in front of us, about 50 meters in front of us. There's nothing there unless my idea was correct and it's buried in this field. Let's go have a closer look. The group waddles through the snow-covered field to give a closer inspection. Okay, I'm standing the exact spot it should be. I'm sure of it. Well, we should dig down beneath the snow and see what we find. Levi, could you get out and assemble the portable shovel? Right, one tick. Retrieving it and locking the 3 pieces together, Levi starts shoveling the snow until he gets to the soil. The group looks on in eager anticipation. Keep going? Yes, you're in the exact spot, so if there's anything there, you should find it. He digs only a few more shovels full when the shovel makes a metallic clanking sound. I've hit something hard. A rock, maybe? Made a pretty strange sound for a rock. Levi, dig up all around this area. Levi keeps digging, which starts to reveal a metal grated pattern beneath them. What is that? It's a trapdoor. Levi finishes shoveling to reveal a metal hatch around a meter squared in size. Alright, let's see what is here. Levi bends down and with a great strain eventually manages to pop open the metal hatch, which flings wide open. Is that a ladder? Yes, it looks like it hasn't been used in quite some time. This is exciting, let's go. Flashlights out, guys. Amelia springs into action, like a kid going on an imaginative adventure. Didn't take much to get her energy back. Alright, let's go everyone, but be cautious. We have no idea what we're going to find down there. They slowly descend the ladder inside the tunnel. Each noise and step reverberates loudly with a long decay. It's pitch black inside. The only light provided is that of their flashlights. This is a huge ladder. It's a decent drop, that's for sure. Okay, I've hit the bottom. There's only one corridor to follow. Let's go. They all walk through the dark corridor a short distance before they sense the space open back up before them. This room feels pretty big. I wonder what it is. Any chance of finding a light switch? If there is, it'll likely be around here when the room opens up from the corridor. Let's look for one. Fumbling in the dark with scattering flashlight streaks, the group searches for a light source. I think I found a switch. Let's see. The group is stunned as their eyes adjust to the blinding sight before them. Whoa, what is this place? Looks like an underground facility of some kind. Who would have thought that something like this would have existed under here? There was almost no evidence of it from the surface. This is pretty unbelievable. Their eyes scan the facility, each one trying to make sense of what they're seeing. This facility couldn't be new. It must have been built quite a while ago, yet it clearly has working power. I wonder if Bosk knows about this place. It's all pretty weird if you ask me. Find out what kind of facility this is would be a start. True, we should scout around and get a sense of its size and see if we can find Pandora's box, the original prototype Tempest machine. Let's leave the gear here and have a look around. Yeah, maybe we could look to see if we can't find some heating down here too. It's pretty cold down here, don't you reckon? Come on, let's have a look around. Wouldn't want that thin east sector skin of yours to get any colder. The group walks through the facility, mapping the floor plan as they go. After a walkthrough, they regather in the main gallery. Okay, let's take stock. There's a bathroom, 2 office spaces and 2 bunk rooms. Thank goodness for some beds. Thank goodness we found some heating controls, and I think they work too. And continuing, the main hall we first entered seemed to be the main room, perhaps for research or other types of work. Connected to it is this room, which seems to be the main gathering area, with a kitchenette. The final room is just here off this one, which we haven't checked. Let's hope the machine is there like we're hoping. Here we go. He opens the door and walks into the room as everyone else enters in tow. It's not here. Huh? What do you mean it's not here? It has to be here somewhere. Let's keep looking. They take a quick look around the room and it soon becomes apparent that there is nothing of note to be found in this small office. It'll be the end of the line if we can't find Pandora's box, won't it? Is there something we missed, maybe? Damn it, don't tell me this is all for nothing. Don't give up yet. We have to look back over the facility for some clues. Let's just hope Bosk didn't discover it and take it away already. This facility's pretty big, but I'm pretty sure we would have seen it if it was here. Maybe somebody hid it somewhere to make it harder to find. After all, it isn't something you'd want someone to just stumble upon. Elijah makes a good point. Even if we were to store it here, I don't think you'd leave it out in the open. Why don't we split up and have a more thorough search of anything hidden around the facility? Agreed. There may be something we overlooked, or perhaps even intentionally hidden within the facility. Okay, but I think we should let Levi and Amelia get some sleep while we search the facility. They've done more than enough and have a lot of sleep to catch up on. Yes, now would be a good time. We can wake you up later for dinner. I won't say no to that. I'll take my sleeping bag over to one of those bunk rooms. If in searching you could avoid my room so I could sleep, that'd be good. Well, unless it's you, Iker, in which case I might allow some company. I don't think keeping you company will help you sleep, or help us find this Tempest unit. It doesn't seem an effective course of action. Man, you really can't take a hint. Alright, later everyone. I'm the same as her. you mean you want Iker to sleep with you? Well, except for that weird stuff she said about Iker. And except I'll be in the other bunk room to her. Yes, you sure will be. Amelia yells back toward Levi as she makes her exit. Geez, those two. Alright everyone, let's search for some clues and find this missing machine. Where should we search next? 3 options. Damn, we've never had 3 options. I don't like it. I can't handle that many choices. It's too much. Let's search the office again. Let's search the office more thoroughly. The group searched intently around the office room once again, opening drawers, moving furniture, searching for any indication of something out of the ordinary. Anyone found anything? Nope, nothing interesting over here. Doesn't seem to be anything of value to us in here. I think it's time to move on. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, let's go. Where should we search next? The main room? We don't want to do the bunks because they want to sleep. If we're going to find something, it'll most likely be in this main open research area. It's a big space, so let's keep sharp and cover every square inch. They take one side of the room and start searching their way back toward the center. Anyone notice anything? No, nothing yet. I was certain this would be the place to search. The group scours methodically through the facility before finding themselves back at the large research room. Still nothing. Not so much as a hint. There must be some clue somewhere down here. There has to be. Where should we search next? Maybe we should search the bunk rooms. They're the only rooms we haven't searched yet. Well, if you really want to head into the Dragon's Lair, then be my guest. Levi isn't so bad. It wasn't Levi I was talking about. I think that's a bit drastic. The mission comes before all else. I'm sure they'll understand. It's okay, I'll go myself then. How'd you go, Elijah? Not great. Told you. We've searched everywhere we can think of and still nothing. Where haven't we thought of yet? We could search... Oh. I better save again, I suppose. If we get the bunk rooms, we're gonna die. Entrance shaft. Wait a minute. Maybe we should check the entrance shaft we came down through. There may be something there. I searched that wall and didn't find anything, but I didn't walk back through the corridor to the ladder, so it's worth another look. The four walk over to the short passageway that leads from the main room to the ladder. Zyla, could you take the flashlight on the table over? Looks like the lights of the corridor aren't working. Right. Anybody notice anything? Zyla maneuvers the flashlight around from wall to wall, searching for something of significance. I can't see anything. Just the ladder back up. Check the floors. Perhaps there's a hatch to a lower level. No, it just seems like a normal floor to me. Zyla, flash the light up near this wall where the light switches are. Okay, wait. What is that? The flashlight reveals a small map attached to the wall. I thought so. It's a layout of the facility. But it makes sense to have it right here as you enter, next to the main light switches. We just didn't notice because the lights are out here, and this wall faces away from the main room. Let's have a look and see if there's anything we're missing here. The four crowd around the map with the flashlight between them. Here, look! According to this map, there should be another hatch and ladder right around there in the main room. You're right. Looks like there's more below us. Perhaps a utility room of some sort. This map only shows this level, so we can't be sure. It's strange that we couldn't find any hatch in the main room, though. Perhaps it's been removed. Wait, look closely at the map. Notice the shape of the kitchenette on the left wall? Looks pretty much the same to me. Actually, wait. This floor plan shows the fixed kitchenette, kitchen benchtop and cabinetry should be going along the wall to our left. But at the moment it cuts into the room at a right angle. Someone moved it to cover the hatch. Yes, quick, let's check. Okay then, time to move it and open up that hatch. The group hurries over to the location of the hatch, indicated on the map. There it is. It does look out of place now that I think about it. The cabinet looks heavy, but it doesn't look like it's actually been fixed into the floor. The weight of it's just been keeping it there. Elijah, you go on the other side to stabilize it while the three of us push. Okay, got it. Right, 3, 2, 1, push! The three heave as Elijah counterbalances, until below them a rectangular hatch is revealed on the floor. There it is! Okay, let's get it open. Jasper pulls with all his might until Elijah steps in to help. After several seconds of them both summoning all their strength, the hatch suddenly pops open, almost sending them tumbling back. It's open. Pass me the flashlight, Zyla. I want to see how deep it is. Iker points the beam of light straight down the shaft. He pokes his head through and rolls it around, searching for the best perspective before standing back up straight. It's a decent length ladder, no idea the size of what's down there. It's too hard to tell from here. What should we do then? Get down there now or wait for the others? Oh man, I'm gonna save again. Scope it out now. We went to all the trouble to find the hatch. I think we should at least see if it's down there. True, I guess it couldn't hurt to just see if it's there. It'd be better if the others were here with us when we opened the files though. Elijah, eager to see what's down there, leads the way as he begins to climb down the ladder. careful, Elijah, you don't know what's down there. It's okay, we're just taking a look. Elijah, keen to discover what's waiting for them at the bottom of the shaft, in the darkness forgets the age of the facility and ladder on which he climbs. Dead. Elijah! Game over. That's perfect, because we're out of time for today anyway. So we're going to leave that here at Bad End 6. Haste's Return. So in the next one, obviously, we're going to load up, take the other option, and continue. But with that, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks again out for me, and I'll see you in the next one.